Hello and welcome back to the second part of the chapter Horticultural Plants. In this part, we are going to study the classification of horticultural crops. So, from time to time, these horticultural crops they have been classified into various groups depending upon their growth habits, cultivation requirements, climate needs, as well as the uses. These horticultural crops they are broadly classified into three divisions of fruits, vegetables, and flowers. So, while classifying these horticultural crops, following points are considered on the basis of classification. So, depending upon the different criteria, these crops they have been classified in five ways. The first is classification based on growth habit and physiological characters. Second, classification based on lifespan of the plants. Third, classification based on climate requirements. Fourth, classification based on seasonal basis. And fifth, classification based on use of horticultural plants. So first of all, we will see the classification of vegetables. The first part on the basis of which the vegetables are classified is the plants grown for aerial portions, specifically the portion of the stems and the leaves. So, in this, again, the crops they may be cole crops, which includes broccoli, cabbage, and the cauliflower. Cole means the flowers, you can say, or the inflorescence part. So these are the broccoli, cabbage, and the cauliflower. Then the second are the legumes, which are beans and the peas, for example. Third category is the solanaceous fruit crops. These are the fruit crops which belong to the family Solanaceae. Examples are capsicum, pepper, eggplant, which is nothing but the brinjal plant, and the tomato. Fourth is the cucurbits or the vine crops. Examples are cucumber, melons, squash, pumpkin, etc. Next is the greens or pot herbs, which we can cultivate in a pot also, and mainly they are green in color. Examples are card, dandelions, and the spinach. Next category is the mushrooms, for example, agaricus mushroom or the lentinus mushrooms. And apart from this, there are some other vegetables such as asparagus, okra, sweet corns, etc. Then these vegetables they can also be classified based on the part which is grown underground, or the plants which are grown especially for the underground portion, such as the roots and the stem. For example, the first class is the root crops. Second one is the temperate, in which the beets, carrots, radish, turnips, etc. they are grown. Especially these are grown in the temperate regions. The third one is the tropical, which means the crops grown in the tropical regions. For example, cassava, sweet potatoes, taro, and the yam plants. Fourth category is the tuber crops, which are specifically grown for the tubers, for example, Jerusalem artichoke and the potato plant. And then lastly, bulb and the corn crops, which are specifically grown for the bulbs and the corns, for example, onion and the garlic plants. Then the classification of fruits, these are mainly divided into two: the temperate fruits and the tropical and subtropical fruits. Temperate fruits they are also called as the deciduous fruits. In this again they are divided into three. The first one is the small fruits. The size of the fruits is comparatively small. Examples include grapes and strawberry. Second category is the tree fruits. Examples are apple, pear, and the cherry plant. And the third is the nuts, which includes peaches and the walnuts. Then the fruits which are grown in tropical and subtropical areas. First is the herbaceous perennials. These are the plants which are herbaceous in habit and are perennial in their life cycle. Examples are pineapple and the banana plant. Second is the tree fruits. Examples are mango and papaya. Third, nuts, cashew nut and the areca nut are the examples. Then the classification of ornamental plants. Ornamental plants, they can be divided into three: florist crops, landscape plants, and the lawn and turf plants. So first, florist crops. In florist crops, these are the crops which are specifically used as cut flowers uh, for the preparation of bouquets, etc. Uh, the cut flowers includes roses, carnations, chrysanthemums, alstroemeria, etc. The second category is the flowering pot plants. Examples are geranium, poinsettia, Easter lily, gloxinia, etc. The third category is the foliage plants. These are the plants which are grown or cultivated for their beautiful foliage, that means the leaves. Examples include philodendron, ficus, agallonema, etc. Next category is the bedding plants. These are the plants which covers the soil, and they can be used for different purposes. Examples are petunia, impatiens, marigold, zinnia, etc. The second group of the ornamental plants are the landscape plants. These are the plants which are specifically used for the beautification of a specific area or a specific roadside, you can say, or a specific infrastructure. This includes trees, then the deciduous trees such as the maples, elms, aspen, oak, willows, etc. Some of the evergreen trees such as pine, juniper, spruce, lilac, azalea, privet, etc. Some of the shrubs, they are also included in the landscape plants. Some of the vines such as the ivy, bougainvillea, pacrantha, etc. Herbaceous perennials like uh, penstemon, peony, columbine, etc. and the ground covers such as the ivy, vinca and juniper are included in the landscape plants. And lastly, the lawns and the turf plants. So the lawns, which are usually grown in a garden or in an open place in the you can say terrace gardens, etc. Especially some of the species of the grass such as the Bermuda grass, bluegrass, ficus, perennial rye grasses, buffalo grasses, etc. These are included in the lawn and the turf plants. Now, some of the spices, they are also very important as a part of horticulture, and they are also classified based on different criteria. But to select a specific criteria for classifying spices is not easy, because all these spices, they belong to different families and different parts of the plants. So there are a few classifications. We will see one by one. First is based on completion of the life cycle. So what is the lifespan of the specific plant which is used as a spice? Based on that, these are classified. They are classified into annuals, biannuals and the perennials. So annuals, as we all know, these are the plants which complete their life cycle within a single season. Examples are cumin, fennel, coriander, fenugreek, etc. Biennials are the plants which require two seasons to complete their life cycle. Examples include onion and the garlic. Perennials are the plants which continue their life cycle for many years. Examples include cardamom, cinnamon, clove, saffron, and the bay leaf. Second classification is based on the growth behavior of the plant. Uh, Based on this, the plants, they may be herbaceous spices, they may be shrubs, or they may be trees. Herbaceous spices include cumin, coriander, fenugreek, onion, garlic, turmeric, ginger, etc. Shrubs include black pepper, cardamom, etc. And the trees, they include cinnamon, bay leaf, nutmeg, cloves, etc. Then the next criteria based on which the spices are classified is based on the importance of that specific spice. The spices, they may be divided into primary spices and the secondary spices. Primary spices include chili, cardamom, ginger, turmeric, which are used on a regular basis. And the second is secondary spices, which includes cumin, fennel, coriander, fenugreek, clove, nutmeg, etc. Then the next criteria for classifying the spices is based on the part used. So based on the part used, the spices, they may be classified into seed spices, fruit spices, flower spices, bird spices, underground rhizome, bark spices, and the leaf spices. The seed spices, they include cumin, coriander, fenugreek, ajwain, fennel, and dill. The fruit spices, they may include coriander, fennel, black pepper, chili, dill, and the cumin. The flower spices, one of the very popular flower spices is the saffron, and saffron is the anther part of the flower, so it is included in the flower spices. Next is the bird spices, which includes clove, which is a flower which is in bird condition, and it is extracted at the bird condition itself. Then the next is the underground rhizomes. For example, the turmeric, ginger, onion, garlic, etc. are the examples of underground rhizomes. The next part used is the bark. In case of cinnamon, the cinnamon which we used is nothing but the bark of the plant. So it is a bark spice. And lastly, the leaf spices, it may include bay leaves, mentha, coriander, and the fenugreek, which are all the leaves of that specific plant. And the next criteria for classification of spices is based on the utility of that sorry based on the utility of that spice. Based on the utility, the spices, they may be divided into two: the taste imparting spices and the flavor imparting spices. The cardamom, ginger, coriander, cumin, garlic, onion, tamarind, black pepper, chili, etc., they impart a specific taste to the food material. So these are called as the taste imparting spices. Whereas clove, cardamom, coriander leaf, curry leaves, cinnamon, asafoetida, garlic, etc., they impart a specific flavor or a typical flavor to the foodstuffs. So these are called as the flavor imparting spices. Now the next part is the classification of flowers. Based on different criteria, these flowers, they are classified. The first criteria is based on season of growing. So in which season the flowers, they grow, based on that the flowers are classified into summer season annuals, rainy season annuals, and the winter season annuals. As the name itself indicates, the summer season annuals, they grow in the summer season, rainy season annuals grow in the rainy season, and winter season annuals grow in the winter season. Examples of summer season annuals are the zinnia, cochia, portulaca, tithonia, gaillardia, gompherna, sunflower, etc. In rainy season, specifically balsam, coxcomb, amaranthus, glirardia, etc. are grown. And in winter season, aster, cornflower, larkspur, sweet sultan, phyllox, verbena, candy tuft, petunia, nigella, etc. are the species which are grown in the winter seasons. Then the next criteria for classification of flowers is based on the color of flower. So in this, based on the color of the flowers, they are grouped into different groups. For example, white flowering. So all the plants bearing white colored flowers are included in this group. For example, alyssum, dianthus, china aster, nigella, ginnia, etc. Apart from this, there are many other examples which can be included in this group. Second is the purple, lavender, or blue flowering plants. Examples are Ageratum, Anchusa, Brovelia, Clitoria, Delphinium, Petunia, Voila, Verbena, etc. And the third group is the yellow or orange flowers. Examples are Calendula, Dimorphotheca, and Zinnia. The next criteria for classification of flowers is based on nature of growth of the plant. So whether it is an annual plant or whether it is a perennial plant, based on this the plants they can be grouped into two, annuals and the perennials. In annuals, Nostratium, ice plant, hollyhock, sweet pea, chrysanthemum, carnations, cornflowers, sweet alyssum, dahlia, marigold, verbena, phyllox, etc. can be included. And in case of perennials, rose, jasmine, chrysanthemum, etc. are the plants. Next criteria for classification of flowers is based on the mode of propagation. So how the plant is propagated or how it is reproduced. Based on that we can classify the flowers into bulbous plants, cormollious plants, rhizomatous plants and the tuberiferous plants. So the bulbous plants they are specifically propagated with the help of bulbs. Examples include lily, narcissus, tulips, etc. Cormollious plants are the plants which are propagated with the help of corms. Examples are gladiolus and crocus. The third category is the rhizomatous plants which are propagated with the help of rhizomes. Examples include canna and the iris plant. And the last one is the tuberiferous plants in which the tubers they are utilized for the propagation of the plant. Examples are dahlia and tuberose. Now coming to the last part of this chapter, that is the significance of preservation of horticultural crops. Now as we all know the fruits and vegetables they are highly perishable and hence they need to be preserved so that they can be stored for a longer duration. So what is exact you can say significance of preservation of both the fruits as well as vegetables? Why the preservation it is essential? So it is essential because it will prevent the overstocking of the product in the market at certain seasons of the year. So many a times what happens, whenever a season is there for a specific fruit, that time we will have the fruit, but in the remaining part what the traders do, they will just store or they will stock the product and it will affect the market. Then again it is also essential because it will prevent the falling of the prices below the cost of production, and it will also help to maintain the price of fresh fruits as well as vegetables at profitable levels. The preservation it also provides the products out of the season which are palatable with many of the dietary values of the fresh products. Another significance of preservation is that the method which is used is very economical because the same methods and the same equipments are utilized for both the fruits as well as the vegetables. Then the preservation industries, they are one of the best cottage industries, small scale industries, and no special knowledge or skill is required except in few cases. New products they can also be prepared with the help of the preservation techniques along with the traditional techniques. And lastly, it helps to avoid foul smell and attack of microorganisms on the food products or the fruits and the vegetables. Now there are different methods of preservation we are going to study. So different methods and substances called as preservatives are used to avoid the attack and development of microorganisms which lead to the spoilage of the products. The killing of microorganisms is usually done by the heating. Along with heating, some substances such as sugar, salt, vinegar, etc., they can also be utilized, but these substances they are not able to kill the microbes. 65% of sugar, 15% of salt, 1% acetic acid, and 0.2% benzoic acid act as good preservatives in the final products. So these substances they are recommended, or they should be utilized in the recommended amounts which are not harmful to the human beings. Now there are different methods of preservation, out of which the first method is the drying. So drying, it is very simple and the easiest method of preservation, and also it is one of the cheapest method of preservation. So many fruits as well as the vegetables they are sun dried, mostly for the home consumption in India. So specifically in India, what we see, there are many fruits and vegetables which usually are dried in the summer season, and rest of the year they can be utilized. Then the mango juice, even it is dried for preparing amsat or the am chapati. Even the amchur, it is the dried mango powder. So all these they are also utilized. Amchur is utilized as a spice, and amsat or the am chapati is, you can say, sweet dish which is consumed in India, which is a dried product of mango juice. So these methods they are, the drying, this method is commonly used in the fruits like grapes, which are converted into resins, figs, which we consume in the form of dry figs, then the plums, peaches, and the apricots. So drying, it is one of the important methods of preservation. Then the second method of preservation is freezing. Quick freezing helps the products remain in fresh state for a longer time. It is, as compared to other methods, it is a expensive method of preservation, as it needs storage under refrigeration. The frozen products they can turn brown, and they can develop undesirable flavor after taking out of the refrigerator. So even though it is a method of preservation, but it also has some drawbacks. Then fruits like mango, guava, papaya, lychee, and jackfruit, they are more suitable for freezing. They are unsuitable for freezing. The third method is the canning. Canning, it is one of the important methods of preservation. Canning is nothing but the complete sterilization of products by heating and preserving them in the airtight containers or the glass jars. So most of the fruits they can be easily sterilized at 120 to 150 degree Fahrenheit. Alkaline and non-acid vegetables they are, however, difficult to sterilize. Hence, the lemon juice or citric acid can be added to them so that the acidic level is increased and they can be easily sterilized. Examples of canning are the jams, jellies, marmalades, which are common products used or preserved with the help of sugar. So, with this, we come to the end of our chapter. Thank you. Thank you so much.